It's the last week of the liturgical year. The readings do reflect that because the readings have to do with the end times, which is very challenging for all of us. And then if we observe our Twitter feeds or TV news, we hear everything that was said in the gospel today almost being quoted. Nations will fight against nations, there'll be famines and plagues and earthquakes and mighty signs. But I'm still not coming, is basically what he says. Because through the centuries, from the time of Jesus, when he said this in the Gospel of Luke, there were many catastrophic events. The Roman armies coming in to destroy the Holy Land. Babylon came in to destroy the Holy Land. And each time they got back on their feet and they built again. So in the time of Jesus, when they're looking at the temple, he's saying, see all this beautiful stuff you have here? The time will come when none of that will exist, but I will be there. He doesn't say that. He, the Son of Man, will return for us. And then we run to the reading from the lengthy section of the book of Daniel, in which again, Daniel is being held captive by Nebuchadnezzar, the emperor at that point, and he interprets the emperor's dream. Basically, all that you have, your whole kingdom, it's all going to come tumbling down. Okay, and that's the detailed dream, but that was the summary of the dream. So it's not applicable to us back in the time of Daniel, 500 years before Christ. It's not applicable to us through the first century when the early Christians experienced this chaos. But it has been able to be applicable to us through the centuries. I mean, could you imagine hearing this reading during World War I? Okay, we weren't there. Imagine hearing this reading during World War II. Well, now we're getting closer to home. Hear this reading while Russia and Ukraine are at odds. Listen to this reading when we look at other sections of the world that are in chaos, the persecutions in sections of the Middle East and the persecutions in Africa. So these readings are very interesting because they're universally applicable. So is Jesus really talking about wars and the stars falling out of the skies? Any person to have lived through those wars can say, no, he wasn't talking about that because I died and the wars are still going on and the people are still living there. So Jesus has given us a great metaphor of the end. And I think the key point of it is recognizing him when he authentically comes. People will say he's here, people will say he's there, and he's saying, don't believe them because the Son of Man will not have come yet. It's almost like he's getting the whole of the gospel story and applying it individually to us. The world will go on and there'll be wars, insurrections, and peace, and treaties, and all that good stuff. But I'm talking to you, basically. I'm paraphrasing Jesus. That he's asking us to be ready. He's asking us to be alert to his presence and the mighty signs that he's going to give us. I'm going to just go out on a ledge and say will be personal signs. Personal signs to each one of us that we can't describe, but that will be known to us, the sign that we will be closing our eyes in death, and we should be prepared now. We're here today in the last week of the liturgical year to present ourselves to God, hopefully to renew our relationship with him beginning Sunday, the first Sunday of the new year being Advent. So we're here, we have the opportunity to say, okay, I don't have to go through all that chaos. There's enough chaos in the world. But let's go to God and me. And that's not the best way to pray. Prayer is between me and God. It's not. It's between us and God. But once in a while, we need to be personal with God and say, okay, apply it to me. Apply what I'm reading to me. In our heads, we can have insurrections and wars and famines and illness. But the message is be ready. So whatever you experience, I think Jesus tells us, as bad or as good as it is, will all come to an end, and I will come get you. You'll be with me. That is sort of a lot more optimistic than everything going down in the dust. Jesus, at this last week of the year, is reminding us as we get ready for Advent that he's with us. The great phrase of Matthew, incarnate forever, Emmanuel will be his name, God with us. So as we approach Advent in a few days, and now today, last week of the year, remember that phrase, Emmanuel, God with us. And let me change a little tweak. God with me. God is with each one of us. And the world goes on in a certain way, politics go on in a certain way, but God is always with us. I think that's a great way. Hi, how are you? You found them? Good. There's a group visiting from Slovakia, and they're visiting with Brother Martin, and he got lost. So we pray God is with us every day of our lives as we look forward to Advent, of course Christmas, and the rest of the year. But today, God is with me. How will that affect me? How will that change me?